right, what's up, everyone? We'll let everyone start to come on in, but so yeah, this is a little bit different of a thing I'm doing on the channel. This is like my first live interview I'm doing on the channel, so yeah, it's pretty exciting. I'm really so excited to have Garrett Whitlock here. He's a reliever for the Boston Red Sox, rookie for the Boston Red Sox. Really awesome to have him here today. And so yeah, this will be pretty short, maybe like a 15-minute thing. And yeah, so I think we'll get started. So the first thing I have to ask you, I'm just kind of wondering, what was your reaction to getting not protected by the Yankees? Like you were in the Yankees organization, and then they chose not to protect you in the Rule 5 draft. So then, of course, the Red Sox pick you up. Were you a little shocked or like surprised by that, or what were your thoughts when the Yankees decide not to keep you?
Well, first off, thanks for having me, and I'm honored to be the first live guest, so that's kind of cool. But no, I mean, I understood their position. I'm coming off of Tommy John, and there's no 100% guarantee I'd be back to normal. So it makes sense that they would protect guys that they know are fully healthy. They didn't have instructs, so I didn't get to go down there or see him in person or anything like that. So, I understood. Like obviously, like personally, I wanted to be protected because that's the team that drafted you, and you kind of want to stay with that team. But at the same time, like I understood them not protecting me, and I was honored that the Red Sox thought I deserved a chance.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so yeah, of course, like baseball is such a tough game. I mean, I've talked to guys like, they especially with last year, it was just such a horrible sequence of events for so many people. So many minor league guys lost their jobs. It was terrible. But obviously, ended up, Chaim Bloom saw, you're the perfect Chaim Bloom pickup. You weren't. What were you drafted in? Because I'm not really sure. Because you weren't a first rounder, were you? Or
No, I was 18th rounder, man.
yes, that's the thing. I mean, it's like in baseball, you have guys who are first rounders and they end up being nothing. And then, of course you have a Bryce Harper, a guy everyone thinks is going to be good. And then they end up being really good and coming up to expectations. Um, I wouldn't say you're really a journeyman because you've only been in really two organizations. And, you're with the Yankees. Now you're with the Red Sox, of course. But yeah, so I mean, you flew under the radar. Chaim Bloom picks you up. What were you thinking when the Red Sox picked you up, like the rival? Like, was it a little weird, or were you just excited to be on a team again because you're not sure with the COVID everything going on?
Well, yeah, I mean, first off, like I said, I was honored just because like the Rule 5 draft is a pretty cool opportunity for guys. They get to go to a big league spring training when they might not have been on one with their original organization, and you get a
Mhm.
chance to prove your case and try and make the team. And so, but yeah, when it was the Red Sox, with the Yankees, all they drill in your head is it's the Yankee way, it's the Yankee way, it's the Yankee way. You
Right.
play for the NY, you don't play for your name, like that kind of stuff. And then so like then all of a sudden that was my mindset for 5 years, and then all of a sudden it's like at the drop of a hat, it's like, hey, now you're a Boston Red Sox, which is like supposed to be your arch nemesis when you're with the Yankees. So it was like it was kind of interesting. I looked at my wife and I was like, all right, well, here we go.
Yeah, here we go. Yeah, it's the life of a baseball player. You never know where you're going to be. So you go to the Red Sox. You in spring training. You didn't pitch too much, if I remember correctly. I think they were trying to keep some of the guys like just warm, ready. But I think when you did pitch, you were awesome. And I think was it before opening? Was it like right before opening day? I saw recently. It might have been the Chris Cotillo article, or when he was talking to you when you had like a conversation with Chris Sale, like a lunch or dinner with him or something. So talk a little about that. Like, what was that like to just speak with someone of his caliber, someone who's now a Red Sox legend within a couple of years, and someone, what kind of stuff did he say to you? What was really your mindset? Like, what kind of stuff did he tell you, like advice to playing in a place like Boston?
Yeah, so it was right before my first outing in spring training. It was like they had the tent set up like outside of the locker room and everything because of COVID. They wanted us eating outside. And so
Right.
we were allowed like 2 to 3 people per table. And so I was just sitting there, and I had just started eating lunch, and Sale walked up and sat down next to me, and he knew I was a Tommy John guy and everything, and
Mhm.
obviously him just recently going through that. He was like, "Hey man, like I want to congratulate you on getting back out there and getting in game action, first time since Tommy John and everything." He's like, "It's a huge step." He's like, "I'm looking forward to, getting that way and everything." And so, we just kind of related because like of the whole Tommy John incident, and he was just like, "Hey man, like go out there, be yourself, have fun, and don't be afraid to suck." He was like,
Yeah.
if you're so caught up in like, oh my god, I got to be perfect, I'm so worried about messing up, like I'm trying to make a good impression. He was just like, dude, it's a game of baseball, and you just go out there and you play it, and whatever happens happens. You live with it. And he was like, at the end of the day, it's the world's coolest experience.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, I mean, if there's one guy you want to get advice from, it's Chris Sale. He's not obviously he's very tall. He's not like a big guy though. He's like the perfect um guy to talk to about pitching, obviously, but just his mentality. I think that's what impresses me most about him and kind of the things that he teaches people, like you and his teammates. It's like just having that mentality. I remember he said something like, I would rather have a guy throwing 80 miles an hour on the mound, but having the mentality of I'm going to get you out rather than someone who has nasty stuff, throws 105, but doesn't really have a good, is kind of weak, in the mentality. So, no, yeah, absolutely. I love that's really nice that he came up to you and gave you advice like that. That's really cool. So I think, when there's pitchers nowadays, everyone's throwing so hard. You top out at what, 96, I would say?
Whenever
Or
people ask
no,
how hard I throw, I just say, hey, I throw hard enough to get outs.
well, exactly. So that's where I'm going. So, everyone nowadays is worrying so much about velocity, and in most part because everyone does it. So it's like I've heard, high school kids like to get drafted, you just got to hit a number and people will draft you. And obviously I just don't really think I've never been a pitcher when I played. I don't play anymore, but when I used to play, I never pitched, but it can't be healthy to just go out there and just want to throw your hardest and expect to get drafted that way. I just think, someone like like you just, that's the perfect mentality. You probably don't even care you probably don't even know what the hardest you've thrown this year. You just, am I getting outs? All right, cool. Like that's what's most important, hitting the corners, pitching, not throwing. So I think what's your kind of mentality? Have you always had that mentality, or has it ever been mentioned to you? Oh, maybe you can throw a little harder if you do this or that, or if has the emphasis on velocity ever been thrown upon you? And what's been your mentality overall with how hard you throw and your stuff in general?
It's really hard to tell a high schooler, like, hey, don't worry about velocity, because in high school you're trying to one up everybody and you're trying to be the macho guy and everything like that.
Right.
So like, yeah, in high school, yeah, I worried about velocity, which looking back at it, it's just an immature, silly thing. But
Yeah.
like my college pitching coach said it best. He was like, listen, he was like, if you continue to go out there and get outs when they tell you get outs, someone's going to hand you a jersey. And that's the biggest thing, is having a jersey on your back and still being able to play. And so that's a big key of it, is where, like, what can you do to get outs. And so
Mhm.
if your outs are at 100 miles an hour, great. If your outs are at 87 miles an hour, great, you're still getting outs. At the end of the game, at the end of the day, you got to get 27 of them. And so like, that's the biggest thing. you know
Right.
those are the keys. How many zeros can you put up, and how many outs can you get? And if you can continue to do that without letting up too many runs, then someone's going to give you a jersey and you're going to have a job.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all that matters at the end of the day. Whether it's a ground ball or a pop up or a strikeout, it's an out. So you gotta, I feel like everyone's just worrying so much about throwing hard and blowing it by everyone. But so talking about pitches, you apparently you developed a changeup during spring training. I think it was Matt Andrees. You talked with him a little bit, and he kind of walk us through that a little bit. Like, how was that developing like a brand new? I mean, was it like a brand new pitch, or was it kind of a pitch you had in mind and you were kind of testing with, and then all of a sudden you just found a way to make it kind of an elite pitch? Or how did, like, walk us through how that kind of went down?
Well, I mean, like in the minor leagues, like I had a changeup, but it was never like a go-to pitch. It was just something to keep him off fastball, keep him off the breaking ball, that kind of stuff. But when I had Tommy John, I was like, all right, like if I'm really going to be a starter, if I'm really going to be in the big leagues pitcher, and I got to develop that third pitch. I got to make it a good changeup. And so I just played catch with it every single day and just tried to make sure it was good. And then when I got to spring training, I was fortunate enough to have a throwing partner in Matt Andrees, and obviously everyone knows his changeup is disgusting. And so like I started throwing it to him, and like he started working with me on it, talking me through a couple different things, like mentality wise, arm speed wise, like that kind of stuff. And finally, like each day we just kept playing, and like we just tweaked it as it went. And that's kind of how I developed my changeup, is just working with him. And then obviously like Bushy and Walk, they helped out as well.
Yeah.
But just like playing catch and getting feedback from the guy that's throwing with you every single day is really the big key.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's, I'm sure. So, going into that, it's like, what would be who has been, like, from your time day one of spring training all the way to right now, who has been, do you think, the biggest mentor in the clubhouse? If it's multiple people, then it's multiple people who have been the guys who have, like, took you under their wing and really guided you to where you've been, your success right now.
Yeah, I mean, from the start of spring training, Eovaldi, he was probably the first guy that came up to me and reached out and kind of was
Mhm.
like, "Hey, kid, just kind of do your thing, go about your work and everything like that." He was the first one, and then Ottavino, being from the Yankees, like we kind of meshed just because we knew a lot of similar people and everything, and so
Mhm.
he started helping me in spring training, and then once we got up here to Boston, Matt Barnes really kind of took me under his wing, being in the bullpen and everything. So like Ottavino and Barnes in the bullpen, along with Andres, they really have kind of like taught me how to be a reliever and what to do and that kind of stuff. But I mean, Eovaldi is still there, just because like starter and pitcher and everything like that. But because like we're in the bullpen together all the time, I'd say
Yeah.
Barnes, Ottavino, and Andres have kind of took me under their wing since like the season has started. But I mean,
Mhm.
Eovaldi's been there since day one.
Nice. That's awesome. Yeah, it's always great to have guys. It's really is a family, like you're saying, high school, everyone's just trying to be like the guy, but now it's like when you're in the big leagues, it's everyone's just trying to help each other. And it's all really all about winning at the end of the day, at least for most people. So that's really good that, it's nice that you have that, that family kind of, that brotherhood that really helps you. So this Red Sox team, it feels incredibly special going into the year. No, like, I wouldn't say nobody, because I actually kind of thought they would be pretty good, but like I and nobody really picked you guys to be where you're at right now, being one of the best, having one of the best records in all baseball. And I'm sure you guys don't really keep track of that. You're just taking it day by day. But what has been so special for this team so far? Like, what's the mentality and the vibe in the clubhouse? I love the tunnel time celebration. I'm sure, actually, because you're only in the dugout actually for so many of those since you're a reliever. But just take me through, like, the whole vibe of the clubhouse. Like, is it different than any team you've, like, what's different about this team than like some of the minor league teams you've been on? Overall, just like, what's the vibe in the clubhouse and the mentality of most of the players?
I mean, it's really is, you said it best when you said family. I think it is really kind of a brotherhood, like because of COVID and everything, we're not allowed to go out and see places and like be with family and stuff like that. And so,
You're still not.
we're who
Well,
we're with 24
yeah.
7. And so, like it's kind of turned into a, we've got each other's backs, it's like a, hey, like we're going to fight for each other and we're going to go out there and win. And that's the cool thing about the clubhouse, is like it's like a place where it's like, hey, even if we lose a game, it's like, who cares, we're coming back here tomorrow, we're going to fight and we're going to win again. There is no like down spirit on this team. When we go out there to the field, we always think we're going to win every single game we play.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's definitely looks like it that way. I mean, it's just incredible to, yeah, I mean, so much fight in this team. And I'm sure Cora coming back and has obviously a lot to do with that. What is he like as a manager?
Oh, I mean, he's the kind of guy where if he told you, "Hey, man, I need you to run through that wall," you're like, "Cool, got you." You wouldn't think twice about it. I mean, it's literally one of those things. Like he inspires you, he motivates you just by his presence of being there. It's not like he's got to go about doing anything a certain way. It's just he's earned respect, and because of that, I don't think there's a single guy on this team that wouldn't like run through a wall for him just because of the amount of respect and the amount of genuine care that he has for every single person on this team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, absolutely. So, yeah, we're getting towards the end of this interview. We're kind of actually past time, but yeah, I just want to say thank you so much for coming on. I guess I can ask one more thing. Like, so Lori in the chat, she actually asked something that's pretty interesting. Is the ball a little different this year? Like, what she's asking, what do you think about the dead ball this year? Because apparently Major League Baseball, the balls were kind of juiced up, so many home runs, and they kind of deadened it. Have you felt like, is there anything different about it or not really?
Well, it's my first year, so I never really got to
Oh, that's
experience
true.
the
I
other
guess not in the
balls.
minor league. It's different. Yeah, that's right. I guess.
I'm
Yeah.
still giving up home runs, so obviously, they're not.
Well, yeah. I mean, you gotta do something to stay in shape. You can't just strike everyone out. You gotta you gotta just keep it balanced. But
Hey, they're the
yeah,
best
no.
hitters in the world. As my wife's grandfather always says, sometimes you get the bear, sometimes the bear gets you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Garrett Whitlock, thank you so much for coming on. Good luck tonight and for the rest of the year. And actually, okay, this is the I've tried to do like an outro 2 times now. One more thing. So the Red Sox, are they trying to stretch you out into a starter eventually by next year?
I have no idea.
Okay.
They on it like Bushy came up to me and was just like, "Hey man, like, are you wanting to know a role or anything like that?" I
Yeah.
said, "Just hand me the ball when you want me to
Yeah.
hand the ball." That's the way I'm going
Mhm.
about things. I'm just glad to be here. When I
Yeah.
told Will like I'm happy to be a janitor on this team,
Yeah.
genuinely meant it. You know, I don't care what my role is on this team. I don't care anything like that. As long as I'm in the big leagues and as long as I can help contribute to this team win, I'll do whatever.
The janitor. Love it. Yeah. Garrett Whitlock, thank you so much for coming on. Love to have you on again sometime. And yeah, it's an honor to have you on for my first interview on here. So it's pretty
Thanks
cool.
for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So, all right, I'm going to end this chat. And yeah, thank you everyone who stopped by. And yeah, had a lot of fun. Appreciate this.